Honorable members, I'm informed that we lack quorum. Okay. Pakala here, the member for Pakala. Honorable members, I'm told that we now have quorum to resume. The House now resumes. Clerk, you proceed.
Thank you. Questions for oral answers continues. The Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs.
Honorable members, please, let's welcome the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs to the podium. Honorable Minister, please take the podium. Questions for which due notices were given to the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs by Honorable members for oral reply. Question number 026 of 2026 by the Honorable Member for Upper Salon.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs give this August Assembly a comprehensive plan as to what the government intends to do with the Asset Management and Recovery Corporation, AMRC, which was established by an Act of Parliament in 1992?
Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker and August Assembly and Honorable Member for Upper Salon. In response to the Honorable Member for Upper Salon, I would like to inform the Honorable House that the Ministry of Finance has established a liquidation task force for the AMRC. The task force has submitted its report and work is in progress to submit the draft liquidation bill to Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So essentially, if I can understand you, are you saying that you want to do away with AMRC completely? And if so, when are you going to come with a bill to repeal the act?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, the decision has been that AMRC is now selling the land to pay their recurrent expenditure. So they're not making money on that basis, and these lands belong to government. That's what informed government decision. And now the draft liquidation bill is being prepared for submission to Cabinet. Thank you. As soon as Cabinet approves, we'll be submitting it to the National Assembly.
Now, thank you very much. Now, with regards to the toxic assets that were from the Keystone Bank that were given to MRC to handle, what is the current situation of those toxic assets?
This as is part of the liquidation exercise, and the tax asset part of the liquidation recommendation will take the necessary recommendation where to house this. Thank you.
Member for Joshua, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, with regards to the AMRC operational, it's like telling me that it's already seized. But based on their 2022 audited accounts, it's like the performance of AMRC was well. What triggers the issue of putting AMRC to a halt?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member for Joshua. What was observed was the AMRC was selling the land, and those lands are capital items. And from there is where they used to make their recurrent expenditures. So it was not considered useful. if they were generating revenue apart from the capital base, but the capital base which form the assets is what is being liquidated for their survival. That's what informed this decision. Thank you.
The member for Janjambure, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, in your submission, you did mention that AMRC are on the verge of selling their property, their land. Will it be right for AMRC to sell that land without dissolving the institution at the level of the National Assembly?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member for Janjam. We did not say so. What I said instead was AMRC was paying its recurrent expenditure from disposal of landed assets, which were put in their custody. So it was realized that they were not getting money outside the capital item that they were overseeing. So financially, they are not viable because those landed properties belong to government. That's what informs the liquidation decision. Thank you.
Member for Busumbala, you have the floor.
Speaker. Honorable Minister, can you enlighten us about these landed properties that the AMRC is selling? Are they audited state lands, that properties that falls within their remit for disposal?
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Busumbala, the landed assets that were transferred to AMRC was due to a process. And as such, they had the custodian function. That was to administer it, either foreclosed or forfeited as part of the foreclosure procedure of the former commercial bank, like the lands that form the collateral of the dissolution following the liquidation. So that was it. Thank you.
Member for Tumanna, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, what is the status of the report of the liquidation committee that you have set, please?
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Tumanna, I just mentioned that it is going through the process to be submitted to Cabinet, and from there it will be making its way to the National Assembly. Thank you.
Member for Uli East, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, my understanding is that the AMRC is recovering assets on behalf of the state. And if that is their mandate, now they recover properties on behalf of the state, and then they resell or they sell back those lands. So who gave them that authority to sell the properties that they have recovered? Is that their act?
Yes, they have been empowered by the Act to do the sales, and thank you.
Question number 027 of 2026 by the member for Opasalo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs give this August Assembly detailed information on the people and institutions that owe the Gambia government in and out of the country, and how these debts came about and the current recovery plans?
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Opasalo, on the institutions, it is mainly the SOEs that are debts or receivables to the states. And the debt results from governments on lending to the SOEs. The total lending to the SOEs amounted to $331 million, equivalent to 23.78 billion. Because there are three categories of 23.78 billion. There are three categories of dues to government. You have the institutions, you have the impress, and then the other categories. For individuals who had, and the table below, if you look at our response, we give a breakdown by each institution, how much they owe, the government through the on-lending arrangement. For individuals who have outstanding interest, it amounts to 18.7, and the details are given in Table 1A. We do have a third category that are government-related receivables, principally in the context of favorable court award judgments for the government. And the details cannot be shared at this stage because as part of the negotiation process, a non-disclosure agreement was arrived at, but the Ministry of Justice is handling this file. Those are the categories of receivables. And the details of the table, which we have shared in the report, have been given, respectively from Social Security, from Civil Aviation, and the individual type of loans to different entities, which came to about the total of $331 million. Principal entities are GCAA, GAMTEL, NAWEC, and those are the energy SOEs, the Sustainable Energy Service Companies. When you add the total of that, it came to 331 million, which translates to $23.7 billion. The list for interest, the details as of 2025 are equally given, starting from the year up to 2022, and that came to about 18.7 million. Those are the two categories of list of receivables due to government. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Honorable Speaker, the third category, we have not received the figure for the third category. You told us the fund for the SOEs, which is about $331 million, equivalent to 23.78 billion, and then the individual for interest. But the third category, which is about as a result of court hours, etc., we have not received that figure. What exactly are we talking about here?
Yes, we have not got the full details of this as it's the subject of non-disclosure agreement that the Minister of Justice is overseeing. But we felt it would not be complete if we did not mention this category. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I think that would be actually incomplete information because if the non-disclosure agreement, there's an agreement that you should have an idea about what kind of money we are talking about here. Because when we have audited accounts, the receivables of government need to be captured in those audited accounts. But we have realized that's not the case. So at this stage, I think the government should have a pretty good idea what kind of money are we talking about in terms of these court awards.
Thank you very much. But you know, court awards are contingent assets, and you do not count them upfront until settlement and agreement has been signed up. Then you'll know the exact amount that you will receive. We cannot put it in government accounts because it's still a subject of negotiation. So until the negotiation is firmed up and payment plans sign off and it becomes binding from both parties, then it becomes a receivable. It's a contingent asset. Thank you.
Yes. So are these domestic cases we are referring to here, or are these international cases that we are dealing with?
Both categories should be there.
Before Pasal, you cannot do that.
I think
I'm going to subtract in your subsequent supplementary question.
I think my response on this is both categories are included. Yeah, yes, thank you.
The member for Uli is very happy today. I don't know what's going on. But maybe we'll ask nominated member Fatuke Jawar to investigate him. Member for Kiang West, you have the floor.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, some of the institutions that you've mentioned are indebted to the government. Of course, also have tens of millions, as receivables, which are due to them from the government, e.g., GNPC, as well as Social Security. How do you intend to look at these two? The government is indebted to them, they are equally indebted to government. How are you trying to ensure that all these things are settled? Because it is captured in their books as well, that these are receivables that has been accrued for a longer period of time and still has not been settled. How do you intend to settle these two?
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kiang West. Yes, when you have offsetting liabilities, best practice dictates that you don't offset them until otherwise agreed. Only when a settlement is agreed between both parties, then you'll take a net position. But as it stands, we are keeping our numbers as they are, and they're also keeping their numbers as it is, subject to a final negotiation. The areas government owe to some of these institutions form part of the overall government areas, for which government is developing an area strategy to resolve. And as when we arrive at that, we will decide whether we'll offset or we'll service and they service, depending on the negotiation. Thank you.
Member for Banjul Central, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Minister, there was a recent report by FPAC, I forgot what time it was, where GCAA, GCAA was in the verge of being taken as for an equity, basically. And then you have NAWEC also was on the verge of their debts being lifted. So, and here we're talking about current recovery plans. So I want to know how come government are opting for recovery mechanisms, whilst also waiving debts for entities like NAWEC whose debts are quite high. Yes.
Well, these are plans, Honorable Member for Banjul Central, and until the plan is finalized, you have to keep your records as they are. Because what happens, the plan for GCCA, even when that transformation happens, government cannot write off its receivables. In fact, the discussions we are having with them is to convert it into equity so that government receive assets will not be compromised. Equally for NAWEC, whatever financial restructuring is happening, we do not have any plans for now to write off anything to NAWEC. But even if we will do, as you are very well aware, the power to write off government debts or government receivables only resides with the National Assembly. So whatever restructuring will be done will be a subject of that discussion at that time. Thank you.
Member for Joshua, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, if the SOEs are owing almost 27.7 billion, based on your statement, and we have seen that some of these SOEs are going into PPPs and concession with other companies, who is going to solve this debt when these agreements are in place?
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Joshua. When a restructure, when PPP is done, it doesn't change the shareholding of the entity. So either they are on PPP, the receivable is there for the company to service. Until government chooses either to convert it into equity, concession does not change the equity structure. The equity structure remains the same. And this is simply because some of these entities are not servicing their debt. Government is the borrower of record. These form part of our national debt. So I hope it's understood. Out of our total debt stock, 23 billion was on lend to these entities, which if they had had the opportunity, they should have been servicing, and it will not be a liability for government. Because they are not able to service that, government is servicing it, and is counting as a part of its debt stock. I hope, so effective obligation of the core government, if you back out these entities, you should deduct this amount from the debt stock. Thank you.
Member for Woolly East, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, these debts that we are talking about, especially from individuals, does the former president, does he have any, is he part of those individuals that actually owe the state?
No, the list is there. It doesn't include his name. These are impresses. The list is there. The list of these are basically impress holders who did not submit the impress. The president, the former president.
Question number 028 of 2026 by the member for Upper Salon.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs give this August Assembly detailed information on all self-raised revenues across all sectors of the government from 2021 to 2025, giving details of the institution, the amount, and how the revenues were utilized?
Honorable Speaker, I think this is question number 29? 28.
28, 028.
028.
On your
Yes.
on the top of your page.
Yes.
Second page.
Honorable Speaker, I would like to inform the Honorable Assembly that the IFMIS system currently accounts for revenues for the MDAs financed through the central budget. Hence, not all sectors raising self-raised revenues are captured in the IFMIS, neither are they appropriated through the budget. However, the ministry recently issued a circular to all self-raised revenue sectors or entities to provide monthly revenue data. Furthermore, with respect to revenues raised by MDAs, I want to inform the Honorable Member for Upper Salem that the total amount of revenue raised by MDAs of the central government for the period 2021 to 2025 amounted to 12.8 billion. Hence, all these funds were used in funding the government operations. Please see Table 2 for details. And the Table 2 has the, by ministries from 2021 to 2025, the individual year, what revenue category was received, and the totals for the period.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, would the Honorable Minister tell us how the Minister of Finance actually is monitoring this self-raised revenue, which should be part of total government revenue in terms of revenue assurance?
Yes, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, we have enhanced the oversight in this area, particularly for some of the entities that are subvented and they are making some self-raised revenue. It forms part of our reforms that going forward, they will submit to the Ministry of Finance their revenue collections quarterly. And the subvention that will be given to them will now be taking into account their own self-raised revenues. So that will only give them the net amount. So this is one, and the Revenue Directorate is actively engaging all MDAs that have revenue-making mandates so that they report promptly, and it forms part of our reporting. We are also reorganizing our Budget Directorate to create dedicated section for the non-tax revenues, so as when you look at budget, you just don't look at expenditure. We'll now have a team that is dedicated to non-tax revenues from the MDAs, and they will now be following up the agencies to find out how they are moving with their targets, and they'll be reporting and following up. These are the reforms we are doing in this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, is this second or third? Second. Okay. The Speaker is concentrating. Now, for those MDAs that actually have balances in their accounts at the end of the year, does the Minister of Finance actually flush all these amounts into the Consolidation Revenue Fund at the end of the year? Because we have seen that some still have some substantial amounts in their accounts at the end of the year.
There are two, mainly, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member for Upper Salem, as part of the year-end closing, all MDAs that are linked to the IFMIS, their balances are swept off. But you have autonomous MDAs that are outside the system. For those ones, they are allowed to carry their balance going forward, but before they can spend it, they will seek authority from the ministry for approval. Thank you.
The member for Kiang West, you have the floor.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, I'm not too sure if a member for Upper Salem has questioned in the supplementary questions as to why those that are not coming to the IFMIS, the collections that are not coming to the IFMIS, so that you can be able to track them, and if there are any plans, that you have in place to ensure that all those revenues that are collected, self-generating revenues by all those departments and ministries, to come through the IFMIS system, so that you can be able to track this, because it will definitely be able to help us reduce our budget stress.
Thank you very much. The rollout of IFMIS forms the core of these reforms. Currently, the IFMIS is being rolled out to agencies, MDAs across. What we've started, particularly with projects, we ensure that all new projects start on IFMIS. And for those agencies that are not on the IFMIS, the Accountant General is working, has a plan to onboard them to the IFMIS. It's a work in progress. Thank you.
Question number 029 of 2026 by the member for Pasalum.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs give this August Assembly detailed information on the revenues that are generated from all embassies, by embassy from 2021 to 2025, and how these funds were utilized?
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Upper Salum, I want to inform the Honorable Member that the total amount of revenues raised by the embassies for the period 2021 to 2025 amounted to $176,781,591.32. These revenues form part of the annual budget appropriation approved by the National Assembly for funding the national budget. Hence, all these funds were used in funding the government operations. Please see Table 3, which gives a breakdown of each embassy for each year, which revenues they have collected, and the total assigned. Thank you.
Thank you. Are these monies collected by the embassy? Is it deducted from their allocations, or they have to remit everything and then you give them back?
Yes. The Accountant General, in remitting funds, take cognizance of the self-raised revenue and will net off the overall remittances to take into account the revenues raised on site. Thank you.
Member for KM West, you have the floor.
Honorable Minister, thank you very much for that. I want to be sure that you have the list of the embassies and the revenue they generate. And are you in position to tell this August Assembly which embassy generates the highest amount of revenue and from what source, as far as that revenue is concerned?
Yes. Honorable Speaker, we have already Table 3 in the document circulated, has the... Oh, you don't have that? Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, apologies. We have already sent a written response. Okay. But, okay. DACA has performed significantly overall. The best performers in the collection is DACA 36 million, and this table has the full details. Different sources. We were collecting based on the total. We did not go into the individual sources. But you have attestation, you have visas, you have other categories of revenue for each embassy that they are entitled to collect. Yes.
Member for Central Badibo.
Honorable Minister, I hope this is not on the low side by looking at the numerous embassies that we have. Or what are your expectations? Is it on the low side or on the high side?
Well, I think they were within expectations, basically. Thank you.
Question number 030 of 2026 by the member for Opasalu.
Yes, and that's the last one. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs give detailed information on all revenues generated from the mining sector from 2021 to 2025, showing the institution and the contributions to the communities, as well as the taxes they have paid?
Honorable Speaker, In response to the question raised by Honorable Member for Upper Salem, I want to inform this August Assembly that from 2021 to 2025, the total amount of revenue generated from the mining sector amount to 747,300,000. Please see the details in Table 4 below, showing the revenue by licensed mining operator for the reference period, including amounts paid to the communities where these mining activities were undertaken. On the tax paid by these businesses, this is a subject of relation with GRA, and as of the time of submitting this response, we have not got the details of the taxes by the different concessionaires, but our request is still pending with them. As we receive the response, we will give to the clerk of the National Assembly. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Does the Minister of Finance have any monitoring mechanism to ensure that these licensed institutions actually are paying the right taxes to GRA? Any monitoring mechanisms?
Yes. Well, the overall tax compliance regime is strengthened further by the creation of the Tax Directorate. And the Tax Directorate has commenced substantial work in this area, and follow-up have been done, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you. How about their contribution to the... No, this is the second one. I'm okay with Ramadan, I'm okay. Yes, it's affecting them there. But how about their contribution to the communities where they operate? Any idea?
Yes, thank you very much. The total contribution for the 3 years, 2021, 2022, and 2023, amounted to $25.8 million. The amounts for 2024 and 2025 are yet to be distributed, and they will be informed to the National Assembly once that distribution is rolled out. Thank you.
Member for Panyomi, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Honorable Minister, the Honorable Member asked for revenue generated from the mining sector from 2021 to 2025. And the figure you gave is 747 million. The figure you gave is the figure you gave is $447,300,000. I'm asking, like, is this the amount of money they pay in the form of a tax, or that's their contribution they pay to the government, or dividend they pay to the government?
Honorable Member, you know you are not listening. No, you are not listening to the minister. You are not listening to the minister, Honorable Member. I said you are not listening to the minister. The member for Joshua, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also thank you for taking care of him very seriously today. Thank you so very much. And also congratulations on the hat trick.
Thank you very much, my good friend. Please proceed.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, the question asks about the community contribution and also the tax they pay to government. My question here is, areas that are not contributing to the community, are their tax, did their tax varies? Are they charging the same taxes or their tax varies?
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Joshua. The community contribution is part of the revenue sharing ratio. That is part of the concession. And they are assessed based on their turnover. So if the community contribution eats into their turnover, automatically the amount taxable comes down. So that's how it works. If the formula is whatever is collected, it has concession. The share that belongs to the concessionaire, the share that belongs to the government, and the share that goes to the community. So the concessionaire is taxed on the portion that belongs to him. So government receives two revenue streams: the share of the upfront revenue, as well as the tax on the operating activity of the concessionaire. Thank you.
Member for Banjul Central, you have the floor.
Question was answered.
Thank you. The member for Kiang West, you have the floor.
Honorable Minister, has this include exploration activities? Because mining has different streams. So, and it has already talked about mining sector. Has this include exploration as well, and the revenue that is due to the government through exploration?
Yes, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Kiang West. The question was on the mining of quarrying, dredging, and heavy minerals. It doesn't include the exploration, which I believe will be oil-related or offshore activities. Thank you.
Member for Woolly East, you have the floor. Janjambure, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Minister. With the distribution of, let's say, funds, more especially around community benefits, can you guide this August Assembly, the communities that specifically benefit from these mining sites? For example, at Saro, which community is benefiting from whatever that is going to the community?
Thank you very much. The communities are the areas where the mining takes place, and these principally relate to onshore mining. What is happening at Saro is the sand evacuation from the ocean, and that is offshore. And this revenue sharing ratio does not include offshore activities. Thank you.
Question number 031 of 2026 by the member for Janjambure.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs inform this August Assembly of the extra amount, of the exact amount the government received from the World Bank as budget support in December 2024?
Yes. Honorable Speaker, in response to the Honorable Member for Janjambure, the total budget support received from the World Bank in 2024 amounted to 28.97 billion, equivalent to $2,026,293,846. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, could you guide this August Assembly how these funds were executed? On what item were they spent on?
Honorable Speaker, as we have elucidated before this August Assembly, budget support is a general pool of resources that goes to fund government-wide operations. So they form part of the overall revenue of the government and is part of the overall expenditure of the government. It's not targeted to specific sectors. Thank you.
Will that include addressing salaries within government sector?
Salaries, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Janjambure, form an integral part of government expenditure. So budget support form the pool of resources to fund salary expenditures as well as other expenditure of the government operations. Thank you.
Member for Joswang, you have the floor.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, just clarity from him, because you made mention about 28.7 billion, equivalent to 2 billion. So the difference, which one is the dollar and one is the dollar? You said
$28.97 million, equivalent to $2.02.
$9 million.
Yeah, $28.92 million, equivalent to 2.02 billion. Yes.
Member for Joswang West, Kiang West.
Honorable Minister, is it feasible to use a budget support component which is appropriated for a specific purpose for salary payment?
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Kiang West, budget support is not earmarked for any specific activity of government. It forms the general pool of resources for government operations. Thank you.
Member for Sanimentering, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, what was the highest operational expenditure that was met out of this budget support? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Sanimentering, it's like a pool. If you don't identify or earmark to say this will come from the budget support, it forms the basket of resource envelope that comes in. So it is not earmarked. This is different from project financing. In project financing, specific amounts are earmarked to certain activities, which a project is conceived on that basis. So those amounts are only spendable in that category. But for budget support, it comes with the pool of overall government revenue and is allocated across government-wide expenditure. Thank you.
You know, it's supplementary, so it's one go. Supplementary is just one go. Supplementary is one go. No, you know, that's what you ask. You ask about the budget line, the highest expended budget line on that. So he said budget support is general, it's full of everything. So it is not the same like financing project where you want to build the health center for Nyanija, you know, this is the amount of money for Nyanija, and then it's expended on the Nyanija health facility. But budget support is for everything. So he is not in a position to give the detail, the greater chunk of that budget support, whether it's salary, whether it's road, or, you know. Question number 032 of 2026 by the member for Banjul North constituency.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs inform this August Assembly how many of the last 70 buses allocated to the Gambia Transport Service Corporation have been officially handed over to them, and what is the status of any remaining buses?
Honorable Speaker, in response to the Honorable Member for Banjul North, I would like to inform the Honorable House that all 70 buses allocated to the Gambia Transport Service Corporation were officially commissioned and handed over. The ceremony was presided over by His Excellency, the President, on the 12th of April 2023 at the Makati Square. Accordingly, there are no outstanding buses pending handover, as all 70 buses were duly delivered and transferred to the GTSC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. In that regards, can you kindly share with us the details when it comes to the delivery as far as the buses are concerned, with also their number plates?
What? With what?
I want him, not today, because I know it's very impossible for him to do it today, but if he can submit to the Parliament, because I personally need those details, the delivery note that was signed by the head of the GTSC, and also the number plates of each bus.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
No, Minister.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member. Okay, there is a point of order by the member for Upper Salum.
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Supplementary customs.
Sorry, the member for Lower Salum.
Honorable Speaker, supplementary customs 43.4. A supplementary customs shall not be in order if introduced matters not included in the original customs, and the answer provided. The member for Banjul North is asking the Honorable Minister to provide the number plates of those buses, and it's under the Ministry of Interior. Already we have a body who can issue those ones. I think that question should be referred to the Ministry of Interior. Number plates of the buses.
Order, honorable members, order. Order, honorable members. Let me rule on that point of order. Honorable members, order. The member for Lower Salem is arguing that number plates is under the Ministry of Interior. And I just confirmed that here, it's under the Ministry of Interior. But on another note also, the question may not be admitted because the honorable member said himself he personally need it. It's not, honorable member. Honorable member, honorable member maintain decorum. So on those basis, the question is out of order. You have one more question. Is that all? Yes.
Yes, again, I will still insist to request on behalf of the parliament the delivery note of the buses.
No, honorable minister, sorry, honorable member. No, you say you need it personally. No. No, that's what you said on record. Mane, Central Badibu and Wuli is, please. Member for Kiang West, you have the floor. Kiang West, you have the floor. Member for Joshua, you have the floor.
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable member, I recognize the member for Joshua.
But you called me.
Yeah, but you didn't take the floor, you were chatting.
No, I was never chatting.
Okay, maybe I have to come back to you later. Member for Joshua, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, who funded the procurement of those buses?
The government of the Gambia funded the 70 buses. Yes, yes.
Now, the member for Kiang West, now is your turn. I hope this time you will not engage in a conversation.
Nebo. Honorable Minister. Please stop that. Honorable Minister, can you inform the August Assembly and under what condition has those buses been handed over to GTSC?
Honorable member for Kiang West, these were part of government offset between GTSC and the government of the Gambia. We did a payment plan for GTSC to pay to the government, and we used that to offset the school transport services with the Ministry of Basic and Higher Education. Thank you. Yes.
The member for Central Body, will have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, would you kindly make the delivery note available to the House?
Honorable member for Tarakunda Central Badibu will work on that and submit it to the National Assembly as requested. My permanent secretaries will take note. And I think that's where the coordination between the Office of the Clerk and Permanent Secretary as administrative heads coordination needs to really work out, because when we say we will, of course, I inform the August Assembly, but the action officer is not myself. So my team is here, so the clerk can thank you.
Member for Banjul Central, you have the floor.
Yeah. Honorable Minister, in the parent question, it says that exact amount the government received from the World Bank. Actually, I thought the amount was derived from a loan from the SSHFC. We would like clarity on that. The social security. No, I'm asking for clarity. What's wrong with you?
Order, honorable members, order.
Yes. It's indicated here. The parent question, actually. Just to quote the sentence, exact amount the government received from the World Bank as the budget support in December 2024. Oh, sorry. sorry. No, sorry. No, I'm on track. Sorry. I mean, officially, the corporation have 70 buses allocated to the Gambia Transport Service Corporation has been officially handed over to them. What is the current status of the remaining buses? So my question would be, based on the source, actually, was it a loan from the SSHFC?
Honorable member.
Wait. What's your problem?
Honorable member, you know, the minister was asked. He said it's financed by the government of the Gambia. No. There is no source of funding. No source of funding here, my friend.
Honorable Speaker.
There is no source of funding.
No, my question is not answered.
No, you know, the question and the answers.
Yeah.
Neither the parent question nor the answers talk about the loan from Social Security.
No, I am asking based on his answer, based on his submission.
Look at the question, honorable member. Read the question properly.
No, I said based on his submission, honorable Speaker, not the question.
No, he have not made such. He have not made such submission. He have not submitted such. No, he has not. The minister has not submitted such. No. The member for parliamentary, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, through you, on behalf of the Parliament, can we equally request for the original bill of lading, copies of the original bill of lading of the said buses? Thank you.
That's not a problem. Honorable member for Central Badibu, I don't want to suspend you. Question number 033 of 2026 by the member for Bakau.
Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs inform this August Assembly what the current debt to GDP ratio is and what strategies the government is implementing to manage debt sustainably without compromising essential public service?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The current estimate for the debt to GDP for 2025 is 70%. The government continues to prioritize the mobilization of grants and highly concessional financing, that is with a grant element of 35% to mitigate the risk of distress. The government continues to be prudent in terms of domestic borrowing, and as a result, the 2026 overall fiscal deficit is projected to be 1% of the GDP. Recent tax policy and administrative reforms have demonstrated with evidence the potential of domestic revenue mobilization to drive us towards a resilient fiscal sustainability as showcased by the impressive revenue growth in the past 3 years. In ensuring long-term fiscal debt sustainability, domestic resource mobilization reforms on both tax and administration will be prioritized by implementing high revenue yield reforms to reach the sub-Saharan African average of a tax to GDP ratio of 16% by the end of 2030. And as highlighted in the domestic resource mobilization strategy, aim at reducing donor and loan dependency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Honorable, as a government, what plans are in place to make sure that debts are being minimized?
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Baka, we have explained it in the response. That is, first of all, we do not borrow from the market in the international market. Any of our borrowing activity has to be concessionary. Concessionary means the grant element is 35%. That means if we borrow $100, the present value of that borrowing is $65. So we are effectively servicing, and the 35% is grant. In our donor engagement, we prioritize grants over loans. That is why all our engagement with the World Bank are on grant basis. There's no loan transaction between us and the World Bank. Equally with African Development Bank in the ADF replenishments, we are only getting grants. For other multilaterals where we are getting loans, the loans must meet the concessionality requirement. And what is happening in terms of supporting the sustainability, all this investment in infrastructure is growing the economy. And as the economy grows, that's why the revenue grows. And the key ability for sustainability is to service the debts. So even if you have a relatively elevated debt to GDP, if your economy grows and your revenue mobilization efficiency kick in, you have more capacity to service because you are getting more revenue. That's why we just presented the presentation of the 2025 accounts to the National Budget Implementation Report, which shows a remarkable improvement in domestic resource mobilization. And for the first time, we have been able to cover 91% of our total domestic expenditure from internal revenues, both tax and non-tax. So we only borrow when absolutely necessary, and we do not borrow non-concessionary resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Woolly East, you have the floor.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, if the amount used to pay for loan repayment is more than what we allocate to, for example, three or four ministries, are you not compromising essential public services?
Thank you very much, Honorable. We're mindful about the impact of debt service on the budget overall. But as you can see, if you look at the 2026 budget, there was no ministry whose allocation was reduced. In fact, some of the ministries have increment of more than 50%. And part of the expenditure which we are still funding is the subsidy, which should be made known. We are subsidizing the energy bill by $1 billion. Allocation to the energy ministry include an element of $1 billion to NAWEC to subsidize the cost of electricity. Then when it comes to agriculture, the fertilizer is being subsidized by more than 50%. The groundnut purchase is equally subsidized by more than 50%. And if you come to the healthcare, we have expanded the fleet of riders for health, and the road infrastructure are all going on. So while the debt service has elevated as an absolute number, but this has not compromised allocation to sectors on the backdrop of the allocations that we just saw in last year's budget.
No, Woolly East, don't do that. No, Woolly East. Member for Kiang West, you have the floor.
Honorable Minister, what are the government's strategic policy in financing the debt? Is it anchored on the locally mobilized revenue, or to invest on the productive sector where you generate revenue and pay the debts? How do you intend, policy-wise, to finance the debt?
Yes, the debt servicing is part of the debt sustainability assessment, and that forms the bedrock of the resource mobilization. If your resource base grows, definitely your ability to service debts grows. And even though the debt to GDP is elevated, but with the increase in the domestic resource mobilization. It has enabled us to service comfortably our debts. And what has happened in the debt servicing is as follows. There are some historical antecedents to this. On the onslaught of COVID, there was a debt service suspension initiative. For 4 years, we were not servicing the principal of our loans. So, meanwhile, the exchange rate deteriorated. So we get revenue in dollars. And for every depreciation in dollars, your dollar amount becomes more elevated. So that tend to elevate the debt stock in terms of the dollars amount. So these are the measures we are taking. So first, that's why we are prioritizing domestic resource mobilization, introducing reforms at the GRA to ensure that revenues are collected promptly. And we're doing a lot of reforms in the revenue collection. We have the single window, the Ascuda wall, the rental system, the telecom system is also coming on board, and of course, property and rental taxes. All these are coming on board. But of course, this does not mean we are increasing the tax rates. All we are trying to do is to make sure that what is due to government comes to government. And what we are also doing, we have closed all cashier positions so that what is government revenue no longer is paid to a cashier. You go to the bank and you pay, and we have seen an increase in the revenue of non-tax revenues as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member for Bastia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, is the current debt toll and accrued from the accrued debt from the previous government, or only accrued by the current government?
Thank you very much. This is a very interesting question, and we've been debating it over time. But two things, when you look at the debt context, well, okay. What happens is, if you make a comparison between the current debt stock and the previous regime, 3 factors need to come into play. The previous regime benefited from debt forgiveness, which is the HIPIC. As we know, the HIPIC initiative literally wiped out all multilateral debts in the past, in present value terms. Then you also have a stock of debt that was floating in the system, accrued from the previous regime, but which were not recognized. That came to almost about 30 billion. That is the NAWEC and the 30-year bond and all the debts that were floating in the system. But with the onslaught of this regime, good governance dictated that government take that and pay it to the banks. So even though the debt stock increased, there was no new borrowing effectively. So these were legacy debts as well. So I think this discussion should be very, and we also have a debt stock that were contracted some time back when the exchange rate was like $10 to $1. Today, the same amount is now almost 7 times, because the dollar has now depreciated from 10 to 7. So what we are doing, because of all this discussion, the other element that affect the debt stock is the SOEs. We have just, in an earlier question, mentioned that the SOEs have like $23 billion that government is servicing on their part because of their inability to service. So if you look at that, these are the elements that form the core debt stock of the country. Thank you.
Member for Central Badibu, you have the floor.
In your response, you made mention of subsidy to NAWEC. Does this thing cover the rural electrification?
You see, I think this is a very good question. As a government, we are doing so much social intervention, and I don't think it's fully understood, because the subsidy we are doing is cutting across all expenditures of the electricity sector. So rural electrification, so long as you buy cash power, government is subsidizing your cash power bill by the amount of 1 billion. That's what we're paying to NAWEC each year. If that was not the case, so technically the subsidy is to NAWEC energy sector, and because the full pass-through of the cost of energy would have made the tariff much higher. But that is one area that, and this is not the only area. Some families have been identified as vulnerable. So government is doing direct cash transfer from the budget to those vulnerable communities, also to cost to set social protection. So these are one of the areas that we are. Thank you.
Honorable members, order, please. Member for Lower Salem, you have the floor.
Yes, Honorable Minister. Question related to the member of Central Bank. Don't you think, this social sector, sometimes it's not a burden to the Gambia government? It's not a burden because, NAWEC, GGC, health, you understand? You understand? The monies that government is giving is physical to this to this social.
Point of observation, Honorable Speaker.
Well, what's the?
He's making a statement.
Honorable members, order. Honorable member for Lower Salem, please continue. Don't address them.
So don't you think it's a burden to the government?
Point of order.
There's a point of order by the member for Upper Salem.
Yes, 38(1)(c). The member is trying to get the opinion of the minister whether this is a burden, and he is completely out of order.
Honorable members, order, please. Honorable member, please, order sustained. Upper Salem, you rose to a point of order and you are disturbing the chambers. Honorable members, question number 034 of 2026 by the member for Lower Badibus constituency. Question number 035, he's not in. Question number 035 of
Speaker,
2026
I was assigned to read
by
this
the
question
member
on his behalf.
for Opanyomi.
Speaker, I was assigned to read his question on his behalf, and table clerk was communicating. Don't be sleeping there.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs inform this Assembly what factors are responsible for the depreciation of $C against the CFA, and how the one-way transfer of wave to Senegal affect the economy? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member for Opanyomi, the depreciation of the $C against the CFA franc and other major currencies is primarily influenced by macroeconomic and structural factors rather than by a single transaction channel. Since we operate on a flexible exchange rate and our imports exceeds our exports, demand for foreign currency is high and outpaces the supply. It places continued pressure on the exchange rate and the contribution to depreciation of the $. Furthermore, the Gambia imports more than it exports to Senegal, and hence the pressure on the $C against the CFA. Periodic festive events such as the Gamos and the end-of-year Mauluds driven demand for the CFA further aggravates this situation. At the same time, the CFA franc is also pegged to the euro. Consequently, movement in the euro indirectly influences the $C CFA exchange rate. Honorable Speaker, with respect to wave mobile money transfer to Senegal, it is important to clarify that the settlement structure and its macroeconomic implications. Cross-border wave settlements are conducted in USD rather than CFA. The distinction is critical as it implies that the transaction generates US dollars settlement flows to the country of the recipient and not direct CFA outflows. The inflows of the settlement dollars provide additional supply that can be sold in the domestic foreign exchange market. Therefore, there is no empirical evidence that the one-way nature of wave transfers in itself is a primary driver of the dollar depreciation. Exchange rate movements are more fundamentally linked to structural trade imbalances, import dependencies, and broader macroeconomic conditions. To improve the exchange rates, market conditions, we should increase our export potential and hence reduce the demand for imports. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Honorable Minister, when they say bi-directional transfer, like from Gambia to Senegal, Senegal to Gambia, I think that will be more better for our economy. What are the the benefit weights between like Gambia transferring money from Gambia to Senegal, from transferring money to the Gambia?
I think we operate in a flexible exchange rate mechanism that is driven by demand and supply, principally. One observation is that the CFA is not a Senegalese currency. It's a regional currency. So as such, our transaction in terms of exchange rate demand pressure between the CFA and the dollar is driven mainly by the demand and supply factors. If you observe, there is a lot of need for CFA. Today, more items are bought from Senegal than Gambians export to Senegal. So to buy those items from Senegal, you would need the CFA. So as the demand pressure for the CFA increases, therefore the dollar tend to depreciate to meet the market supply and demand curve. Thank you.
Remember, for Woolies, you have the floor.
We know that Gambians are using the dollar for the export, for import and mainly for import. But which currency is used for the re-export? Is it the CFA or the dollar? Mainly. Which currency that is utilized for the re-export? The re-export. Is it the CFA or the dollar?
Willis, I cannot hear you. I'm not
if
sure.
You want to use
Ramadan is
if you want to import, you buy the dollar to import. Now, if you want to re-export, which currency do you buy? Is it the CFA or the dollar? You don't understand it.
Understanding is re-export. But when you re-export, you should get the currency. You should sell the goods and the currency come in. And the currency is determined by the market to which you re-export. If you re-export to Senegal, you should get the CFA as inflows. Thank you. Okay.
Member for Lower Salom.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, each transaction on Wave, we have 1% interest by the company. By commissions, allow me to make an objection, please. What I'm saying is, each transaction on Wave, the company gets 1% commission. Now, what is the VAT charge per commission on Wave?
Yeah, basically, for every turnover, the 1% technically represents a turnover for Wave as a company. And VAT is applicable because Wave is a VATable thing, and the applicable rate of VAT will apply. Thank you. Yes.
Not on tax or VAT. Okay. Joswang, you have the floor. Remember for Joswang.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, looking at the number of forex bureaus we have in this country, is it not a contributing factor to the depreciation of the dollar?
Point of order. The original Coxons, 29, that's 43, 4. Honorable Speaker, 43.4, the supplementary questions. 4 says a supplementary question shall not be in order if introduced matters not included in the original questions and answers provided. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker. No. Honorable Speaker, my point of order is that the Forest Bureau is not included in the original questions and the supplementary questions. It's about one way. You understand? So in fact, on his answer, there is nowhere the minister mentioned about. Allow me to come, Honorable, please.
Honorable members, please order. Allow the member to.
Please allow me to come.
To continue to stand on his point of order.
Yes. The point of order here is there is nowhere in the original question that mentioned Forest Bureau. And together, the minister also on his response doesn't talk about forest bureaus. It's about one-way wave.
Order, honorable members, order. I was trying to look into the question and, of course, the answers. It's about depreciation of the Dalasi against the CFAO and how the one-way transfer of wave to Senegal. He asked about the factors, but the ministers have not talked about forest bureaus as the factors. And then, do we also, when you look at the question, it's a yes or no answer. NEA seeking the opinion of the minister. It may not be 100% appropriate, or it may not correctly be admissible under circumstances. So on the basis that it's kind of seeking the opinions of the minister, it is ruled out. Member for Kiang West, you have the floor.
Honorable Minister, it is a long argued that black market exchange has an impact on the value of Dalasi. Could the depreciation of Dalasi against CFA be due to the black market exchange, as far as the currency is concerned?
Okay, thank you very much. What you call black market is otherwise known as parallel market, and they are not in the formal system. As such, based on the supply and demand factors, even though they are there, they are parallel to what is within the official basket. Of course, we do know that the rates tend to diverge between the parallel market and the official market rates, but there is no empirical evidence to show that this is the causative element of the parallel market in terms of the exchange rate depreciation. Of course, the ideal situation is the reduction of the parallel market so that all the transactions come through the banking system. That way, it will be a better system. Thank you.
Question number 036 of 2026 by the member for Banjul Central.
Honorable Speaker, recent reports have raised concerns regarding transparency in government borrowing, particularly loans from the IMF and other foreign bodies. The Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs informed this August Assembly of the total loans contracted under the Extended Credit Facility and other foreign arrangements, indicate which have not been tabled for parliamentary approval and provide reasons for any omission.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Currently, the Gambia has an arrangement with IMF under the Extended Credit Facility and the Resilient and Sustainability Facility, RSF. In addition, the previous arrangements under the Extended Credit Facility are still active with scheduled repayments ongoing. The total amount of the loan contracted under the previous and current ECF totals to $122 million. Our negotiations with IMF are fully reflected in the annual budget presented before the National Assembly for approval, and hence the activities of the ECF are fully authorized by the National Assembly. The financing that was presented in the budget has always been incorporated the on-lending facility from the ECF. So it's part of the budget, it's duly approved. Thank you.
Question number 034 of 2026 by the member for Lower Badibu and to be read on his behalf by the member for Bakau.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs inform this August Assembly about the 19.93 million grant provided to the government by the African Development Bank for youths and women in rural Gambia and the current status of its implementation?
Honorable Speaker, in response to the Honorable Member for Lower Badibu, it is important to clarify to this August Assembly that the 19.93 million represent additional financing to the original project cost of 6.5 million, with current disbursement rate of 65%, supported by the African Development Bank. This additional funding is intended to scale up existing interventions, expand coverage of the project, and ensure that more youth and women particularly in the rural areas, benefit from the opportunities created under the initiative. Regarding the current status of the implementation of this additional financing of 19.93 million, I'm pleased to inform the Honorable Assembly that the project implementation arrangements are in place. The board approval was on 10th of July 2025, and the project began addressing the conditions precedent to effectiveness and disbursement. Below are some of the actions that have already taken place by the project. One is the condition precedent for the first disbursement are already provided to the African Development Bank, and we are now awaiting their clearance for their fulfillment of the conditions. Also, one of the conditions for the upcoming special account to be opened at the central bank, request has been sent to central bank, and this is where we are. The funds have not arrived, and we do understand people thought that the money is already here and is not utilized. We are not even yet to fulfill all the conditions attached to the grant facility. Thank you.
Thank you. No further question. Honorable members, on your behalf, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs for those answers provided to this Honorable August Assembly. Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, I want to thank you sincerely and wish you Ramadan Kareem. Honorable members, I want to thank all of you, of course, those of you who have stayed up to this time for us to finish business. And of course, we have our only one woman here, the member for Parliamentary. We want to thank her and wish her Ramadan Mubarak for staying up to this time. And I hope someone is at home preparing iftar for all of us. Thank you. Honorable members, be it resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned until Thursday, 12 March 2026 at 10 a.m. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. The Assembly now stand adjourned until Thursday, 12 March 2026 at 10 a.m. prompt. Yes?